Connection. We are now live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jenny Altagracia, and this is my Diary del Sol, and
Yes,
we're here for
hello.
our weekly Friday book
Yes,
club and the book Alchemy for the Soul.
yes.
So, welcome,
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 welcome
welcome,
all.
welcome, welcome
Yes,
all.
welcome for another night. We have beautiful information for you tonight to create another. We will say that we are more here to show you a different perspective of life, let's say, right?
Celebrate it, celebrate life
And
too.
not only that, but to see life from a different perspective.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes when we have the tendency to see things as always, then it's hard for us to transcend things when we are not able to see things differently. So here we are with every Friday bringing this sort of information to heal our ancestors. And because we know it's being proved that our ancestors experienced, the ones that weren't resolved, are affecting us today. And so that's why I wrote this book of Alchemy for the Soul. For the ones that don't know it, we
Right.
are following information from this book. This book contains 7 steps to transcend your ancestral past.
So if you don't have the book, definitely buy the book.
Yes,
Okay, so definitely a great companion to everything that we're talking about all these Fridays. So buy the book,
buy
buy
the
the
book.
book.
So you can buy the book going to Alchemy for the Soul that link, or also you can find it in Amazon directly.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have an amazing topic tonight. The topic is called the Order of Belonging. Yes. And just to remind you, for the ones that maybe are just joining, we are following step by step this order of the book. And the first step that we are working on is the law or the order of belonging. Everybody belongs to the system of life, but we also have a system. And sometimes the systems maybe unconsciously have been excluding some of the members, and that is affecting the whole system and every member of that system. So we are here to create inclusion. Maybe you haven't been able to see life from this angle, but we want you to be aware of where in your system someone is somehow missing or not being recognized or energetically excluded.
And even in society, Maya,
Mhm.
we had a tough week with what happened with the children
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, I'm glad that you brought the topic.
because that's a big one
It is a
to
big one.
include.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about that one, for
That's a
example.
tough. This is gonna be a tough one.
Yes, and it might sound probably difficult for you to
Mm-hmm.
understand this perspective. But let's talk about this one a little bit, because if we continue to condemn people and to judge them because what they do, but we don't understand the background of why that happened, the true behind the scenes of why that type of situations happen,
And
then
continues to happen.
yes, then we ended up somehow rejecting, and that rejection, because we create that sort of that's horrible, and this child was horrible, so we energetically we reject that type of stories, but those stories are part of our life. Even
So
though they don't affect us directly, indirectly they are showing us something, that these type of situations are happening because they haven't been healed in the collective.
that's very important. They haven't been healed. I'm going to stress that, Maya. They haven't been healed in the collective.
Mhm.
Because I remember when the first thing we experienced something like what we're experiencing in these schools with these shootouts and murders and etc. We when it happened the first time, we never thought that would happen again.
Yes.
Like never again. And it has happened several times.
Yes.
So the collective needs to heal.
Needs to see and
Needs to see.
recognize that this is a memory that has been transgenerationally affecting the society. the collective in this case. And so we need to see the individual, but this individual is coming to show us what, let's say, sick in the system.
Mm-hmm.
See? And this child must have gone through a lot of pain. And we have spoke about this when we spoke about the perpetrator and how to include the perpetrator. If you haven't seen that program, we invite you to review it in our channel, because we spoke about the inclusion of the perpetrator. Because we have just a tendency to judge, but we don't understand the behind the scenes, and we want you to understand the behind the scenes to understand better why people do the things they do. And instead of judging, including. Let's talk a little bit about this. Bert Hellinger. Let's just to tell you how this therapy of family constellations came about. And
she's gonna give you some background.
Yeah, some background.
So we understand.
So Bert Hellinger, he was sent to Africa to he was a missionary and to work with the tribe of the Zulu. And what happened that then when he gets there, he sees that this tribe has these ways of forgiving and reconciling and creating peace and harmony, different than the way we are used to see or do. So he was amazed by how they, instead of judging someone who did something that hurt the community or someone in the community, they would all get together in a big circle, and each member of that circle, which was the whole community, will come to that person and remind the person of how good that person was. Do you remember when you did that to me? That was so beautiful and I appreciate it so much. So they reinforce the positive instead of rejecting the negative in the person, because we have the tendency, oh, I like you because you do good things, but when you do bad things, I want to exclude you.
It's amazing. They remember the good thing, but the moment you do something that they didn't like, that's it. You're out.
Exactly. So what happens in that way of healing was that the person remembers that consciousness, or in that essence of what we really truly are, and went back to feeling, leading, like being acknowledging that those behaviors were not the true essence of who we are. So we went back, that person can go back to consciousness,
To pure love.
pure love, and then everybody gets to connect again.
Yes.
And flow from there. And no, it's not about forgetting, but understanding what that person got to learn from it, because you want to keep connected to your community, right?
Mhm.
So he learned, Bert Hellinger, which was the founder of Family Constellations, started to see the ways they were healing and creating harmony. And he was amazed. He said, wow, we, the civilians, are at war in Germany. He was German. And these people here who would, people might think they need help, are actually teaching me how to reconcile in a peaceful way. Isn't that amazing?
It was beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, beautiful.
So let's talk about this child.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this child. I don't know much about the story, because I actually, this morning was when I heard about this case. I went to the gym, and then we met afterwards with some of the people, that the family that we want to work out together. And then they were talking about this, and they were already getting there into this child this and this child that and this and that. And then I was like, but let's wait, because we are not seeing what happened to this child when, in
He
his
was
childhood.
younger. Yeah.
Yes, when he
exactly.
was younger. And then someone mentioned that the mom wasn't present, the father wasn't present. He ended up being with the grandparents. They didn't tell me a lot of details, but they didn't really take care of this child. No one was there for this child. So when any of us go through this sort of not attention, it creates this sort of, it could be resentment, it could be anger, it could be frustration, and all of this starts building up. These emotions start to build up, and at certain point you want to express that you also exist.
Mm-hmm.
and that you also want to belong, and that you also, so we don't know what happened, but maybe someone triggered this child. And what we have seen, or what we actually study in constellations, is that this child really wasn't killing these other children. It was killing probably some of those family members who he felt triggered by, because he had these states, inner states, that he couldn't heal. So he needed to express in that way. And that was, of course, a painful way for others. It hurt the
Right.
whole community. See, but by seeing it this way, can you have more compassion to
Yeah.
understand that this child was acting
He was enraged, but
yes,
it came from a purpose and a trigger
yes,
that was already in him, and that's the way he knew how to express it, even though
exactly.
it's extremely difficult.
Even though it is extremely difficult. So by us saying the just by us seeing this person and saying we acknowledge you
Mhm.
and we don't judge you. You came to show us something in a hard way, but we can get to see you, and we can get to see where we are as a collective and what needs to be healed. And we acknowledge you and we include you. You belong to our system.
And I take a deep breath because it is hard. You know what I mean? Especially for parents that lost their children, their
Yes,
parents. It is very tough. I
it
mean,
is a very
the
tough topic.
Texas is going through an extremely,
And
extremely
probably
hard
this,
time.
what I'm just saying, probably could be difficult for you to process at this time. But yes, it is a process. It's a process of
It's a
feeling anger.
process.
It's a process of feeling sadness. It's a process of understanding and comprehending. And maybe at certain point you can get to this point of inclusion and understanding that it happened because it needed to be shown. And if we see it from a cosmic angle, we can go actually
Deeper.
deeper and see it from a higher angle. And so we can see that all of those souls had accepted that experience together from even before coming here to Earth. They were all had made an agreement, a soul agreement. Okay, someone needs to show the system of life, the whole collective of life, that anger is so present and it needs to be healed, and then that we need to include all perpetrators because perpetration is within each of us. That's why it's showing out there. All of that anger and resentment and frustration still somehow is in us, and we need to heal that, because otherwise we get to see that projected outside of ourselves as we just did with this child.
Mhm.
Mhm. And so probably it's, yeah, as I said, it's just a process. It's a way of processing, a new way of healing. It's a
Yeah.
new way of healing. So we're just putting this out here for you to see it differently, maybe. And if you feel like it makes sense for you can create that inclusion, and you can say, yes, this is something that we must heal, instead of condemned or judge or exclude or separate or
Right.
reject. We include that. That actually, you can say, and I integrate that within me, because I can see that what is outside is within me. So somehow see what part of you still feels this rage, and maybe you express it in a way that you don't kill others, but maybe you express it in a way that can be aggressive to
Right.
others.
Mm-hmm.
Mm? With one word, you can kill someone else, emotionally or psychologically.
Yes.
So just see that. Go, go to yourself. Don't see what happened outside. Don't judge. Don't throw the stones before seeing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're judging out there what you need to see within you.
Because that's the thing. If you saw this experience and you are part of this that happened, there's just a reflection of that in you. So
Mhm.
you want to go ahead and observe it in your time, because
Yes.
this is a process.
Yes.
And I always say you have to be gentle with this process, because it's like, for me, when I was looking at, I looked at it from that point, from looking at it from compassion and then say, but that came to my eyes.
Mhm.
So that means I'm part of that. So now let me observe, what do I do in my life that I
Yes.
create scenarios like that within me and my community, even though, like Maya said, I don't express it by killing somebody else, but
Mhm.
yet I do it in another way.
Yes.
So I'm still in that process
Yes.
now,
We are
you
all in
know.
that process, all of
So
us. Beautiful, Janet. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Another case, another case that is being heard lately is the case of Johnny Depp
mm,
and his ex-wife Amber. See, most people is accusing her, oh, she is a liar. Instead of pointing there, point here. Are you a liar?
mhm.
Why are you judging? What? Because have you lied in your life before? I'm guilty of that too, let's say, and I'm not
I don't like
guilty.
admitting it, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all do.
It's a way of maybe protecting ourselves because I want something, so I manipulate it.
Are
Huh.
we a manipulator?
Ah, have you been a manipulator? I
Oh,
have been a
many
manipulator.
times, many times.
There you go. So instead of just judging what others do, because they are only showing you something that you must hear.
Yeah, we are each other's mirror, no matter
Yes,
what is happening in life. If
yes,
your eyes saw it, it always goes back to you.
yes. So on what side you are, on the victim or on the perpetrators? See, if you're judging the perpetrator, nah, see your shadow. Now, if you're being the victim,
Hi.
oh, poor me, everybody does that to me. So, yes, that person should be punished. So you become the perpetrator.
You
See?
see how you and see how you become the perpetrator?
See how easy we
How
become the
easy.
perpetrator. So, yes, we
Yeah.
want to give you this way of seeing the whole internal dynamic and how we ended up rejecting and excluding what is within ourselves.
It's like looking at it really, really from a point of love.
Yes,
Really, really from a point of
yes,
love.
yes,
Because love is pure, just unconditional acceptance.
yes,
And that I know that is something I am still learning how to do.
yes.
Like I'm like, what you mean unconditional love? I didn't understand how deep that
Mhm.
is.
Exactly. So, unconditional love, we have the tendency to speak about, but the practice is another level.
It's yeah, yes,
It's a
it's
whole another
yes,
level where you
yes.
really need to be aware of where you are and the inclusion of your own shadows to say, yes, I'm really loving this from everything that I am.
Yeah.
And I'm accepting this just as it is. Even
Just
though I don't like it, even though I don't agree, even though I. So it takes a lot to process to really embrace and create that order of belonging that we are talking about today.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
It's like we always say you have to do your work.
You have to do your work. Yes, it's not an
Yeah.
easy work, but it's doable.
And it's very rewarding.
It's very rewarding. That is so true. Yes, yes, yes. All right, we have people here on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. What about someone is in Facebook saying, what about accountability for
For the
the harm caused by that person? Hmm.
It's a good question.
Yes, yes. That's another process.
That's another
Yes,
process.
it's a different process. It's a different process because yes, it's a loss somehow. It's a loss of a child, and usually when you are a parent, you it's harder for you to see your children die before you
Yes.
because the order of life somehow wants the parents to live before the children.
Mhm.
So this parent feels guilt, or I didn't take care enough, or maybe guilt because a lot of things come up.
And
A lot
also,
of things
the other
come
thing
up.
about feeling safe, like before, I mean, taking kids to school and doing the study, that should be a place that they are safe. So all that comes into question.
All of it comes, and it is a process that
It's a
will be
process.
before the structure and how it works, the school and the system and all of it. It's just the internal process of
Mhm.
saying, okay, um, everybody has a part in this. And every person who is going through it must see your part. Where am
Right.
I with this? What is this showing me? I lost a child. So maybe in your system, someone had a loss and wasn't maybe recognized or hasn't been included, and somehow your child, your descendant, becomes that person,
Inclusion, yeah.
that person that wants to show that someone must be seen, because it was maybe that person died and no one got to recognize it, let's say. I'm just giving a general example of how exclusion happens. Maybe an abortion happened, no one talked about it. So someone dies in the front line of the system to show that there is an exclusion in the system. So see,
I
it's
heard a
like,
story,
mhm,
which was really interesting,
mhm,
where or I read a story, I don't know which way.
mhm,
Um, the person that was speaking, he said that when in his past life he was a murderer, he killed people. So
mhm,
he chose to come now to this present life and allow himself to be killed so
mhm.
that he can heal the system that way.
He can compensate
Compensate. I
life.
thought it, yeah, perfect, perfect.
Compensate life. See, because life is always looking to find this balance. This balance. Hmm? If I kill someone, maybe the balance does this. So in order for the balance to go this way, someone I need to take something out of that balance so the balance can go back in place, and it could be a life. I can be paying for a loss, let's say, with money, with a disease, or with death.
And you know, these beautiful children that are now angels, we they were very brave
Yes,
that they chose to come and live that experience in
yes.
order to help us see and therefore heal
Mhm.
and heal the system.
Yes, they are souls at service. And we are
So
seeing this not from the human heart.
yeah.
I want you to understand that we are not indifferent
Right,
to
yes,
what happened,
exactly.
because we
That's
know how
key.
painful it could be.
We're
Just even when,
marginalized are mothers. You know what
yes,
I
we are
mean?
mothers, so we can
Yeah, we get
we
it.
can get it. We can see, oh my God, what if it was my child?
Yes.
Yes. And I would, yeah, definitely I would have to process that myself
Oh,
and see
yeah.
why it happened in my life, that this was the situation, and what is giving me, so I can really reconcile
Mm-hmm.
my past. Because whatever experience we are going through that is this misaligned from the consciousness of love, we must see, because it's showing us something that is not healed from the past, of something in our ancestors that they couldn't heal, that I'm experiencing today, that is causing me pain and suffering. See, so I don't want that to continue to happen. So in
Right.
this case, for example, these parents, probably if they knew about family constellations and ancestral healing, they would turn around and see someone in my system is missing, haven't been able to be seen, recognized, or giving order in that system. So this happened to me.
Mm.
This is just one part that they must heal. Of course, they need to process the loss as well,
Yes.
right? So it is a lot
It's a
that we
lot.
can
This is
talk.
a heavy one. This is a heavy,
It is.
very heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic, but once you get to understand why it happened to you, and you can have the compassion to say, I can see why my son or my daughter died. And it
Mm.
makes more sense now. And see that that was a sacrifice, let's say, for the system to see something that needed to be healed. And so, probably this parent, if that parent decides to do this work, gets to heal that. And so it won't continue to happen. The same maybe with the parents of this child who committed the genocide. You know, these parents also need help, because if they weren't really there for that child, it means that something is there is an emptiness, or a disconnection, that didn't begin with this child, it began with the parents. So what is the transgenerational of this child saying that this child ended up doing this? See,
Exactly.
let's see it from this point of view, and not from what we are just seeing out there.
And there's one question there. What?
Maria says, what if the child takes his life?
Very good question.
Very good question. Yes. This is also a deep one. And
Mm.
it could be the same as this case because the
Mhm.
child, I think, killed himself, right?
Well, that I believe there's a shooter. I have to admit, I don't know too much. I just saw
Oh,
like a
okay.
little, but I believe there was a shooter. He got shot.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the case that Maria is exposing here she's in YouTube. And she says, what if the child takes his life? Well, if someone, a descendant, takes his life, means that this child has a part of himself or herself that I want to reject or I want to kill. I don't like this part of me. I want to kill it within me. And since I cannot kill that part of me out there, so I'm going to kill myself. It's a sort of a deep self rejection,
Or even hatred
something
to
or
an extent.
hate. I hate this part of me. I don't know how to get rid of it. And so the first thing or the easiest way to get rid of it is to kill yourself. See, suicide then has many,
Reasons why it happened.
yeah, I'm just giving you one
Yeah.
possibility, but there are so many behind. So, for example, a suicide can happen because maybe an ancestor committed suicide and maybe no one could understand why that person did it. See, so
And maybe they weren't included in the system,
maybe
Maya.
they weren't included in
So
the system
now,
because
hmm
in the past, when someone committed suicide, it was a sin. So the system wouldn't talk about that. No one is going to talk about that because religiously, the community will see this family system as a bad system. Somebody committed suicide in that system.
a lot of shame.
A lot of shame and dishonoring and whatever, disgrace. So they didn't want to talk about it. And so someone down the road might commit suicide. See? So it has the psychological behind the scenes and it also has the ancestral behind the scenes. We need to see all of those points. We must be observative of all of them because they all count.
All of them.
All of them. All
All
of
of
them
them.
count.
Yes.
Maria says, I'm giving you a scene that this girl was depressed and took her life. Bless
Me.
you. Yes, a girl that was depressed and took her life. If we talk about depression, right? Depression is a state of disconnection or even suicide. I'm disconnected of life. And I don't know how to connect again. And because I don't know how to connect, it's so painful to be here living this experience if I don't feel like I'm doing something that is worth it, that I'm worthy, that all of it. And the first connection that all of us must do and must have is with mom.
Okay. Yes. That's a very
Because
big
mom
one.
represents life. The mother represents life. And so, yeah, she says, I asked her mother to see you to find out what was the reason. Oh, thank you, Maria. If the mother is willing to confront that sort of reality, welcome. Yes, I'll be glad
Absolutely.
to see her. And because that is healing not only for herself and for her whole system, but also for the system of life, as you can see. And we are seeing today that those stories are projections of where our collective is and what we are healing today. So thank you, Maria, for that. That's serving life, and I'll be happy and very blessed to do that. Yes, definitely. She's in a lot of pain, and that's what I told her. Yes, she might need to process a little bit.
Yes.
If it's too
It's
soon, if it
tough.
happened recently, just give her some time so she can process the loss, and then then we can work later.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially if she's in grief. I mean, when it
Yes.
comes to grief, there's 7 stages.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so we
Exactly.
have to allow people to grieve in their own time, in their
Exactly.
own way.
Yes, and because we enter into denial in that within that process,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it needs some time to process, and then she'll be able to process the rest better because she's again confronting something that is going to be painful.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we will have to see what is this mother related to her own mother.
Mm.
How
Yes.
was that connection with mom? Because
Right.
the disconnection is maybe it could be that one mother isn't connected to this other daughter. And so that disconnection can be reflected in a sort of what happened, that suicide that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well.
Yes, it is. So if you are seeing this and you are in Instagram, because we see a lot of comments here on YouTube and
yeah.
also on Facebook. If you are on Instagram, we also invite you to participate. You can put your comments there and actually tell us how you feel and whatever you feel here. Just open up your heart and express. We are not here to judge. Nothing is right or wrong, but your observation can actually help us all see things. See what Maria just shared.
Mm-hmm.
Open up a topic of inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're so
Yes.
grateful for people that are there and like Maria giving her that suggestion and bringing, letting her know Maya to help her through this process. That's just beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful on your part to help her during this time of grieving.
Yes. So let's go back to the topic.
Yeah. See,
because we were
so
talking
easy.
about
Oh my
inclusion.
God.
Yes, we can talk about this forever. But we want to go back to the topic. Today's topic is the order of belonging. And we are, of course, talking about how we have the tendency to exclude or reject. The rejection is the first step, and then the exclusion is after.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't like something or someone, we tend to exclude it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we actually don't help. We don't serve others or life or the systems of life when we create that exclusion.
Mm-hmm.
We need to work on including it all because all is part of ourselves, and we need to integrate it in order to transcend it.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the big one right there. Like we
Yes.
need to integrate it.
Yes.
That is absolutely essential and key in order for us to transcend it and truly heal.
Yes, yes. So we were for the ones that are there on
By
Instagram or
By the book.
Janet by the book. For the ones that are there and don't know it, we are following this order of this book that I wrote last year. It's called Alchemy for the Soul. That, by the way, is got 22 systemic exercises that can help you create inner order so you can manifest a different destiny in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So we are on step 1, which is the order of belonging and inclusion. And let's see where we were left. We were talking about the perpetrator. We talk about how many times women tend to exclude the masculine because not only by saying it, but maybe energetically or by just thinking, it's like we create this exclusion that is affecting maybe the new generations because they don't say it, but it's happening. So we were talking about the inclusion of the masculine last time. So you didn't get to see that. We invite you to see the last program.
It was really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we are here. Let me see.
What page are we on?
Here, page 74.
Mm-hmm.
So the first systemic principle is called the order or the law of belonging. Every member of the system belongs. And when we talk about the system, not about the family system only, but also all systems of life. See, because we sometimes go to a group and we don't feel like we belong to that group, but we do. Maybe we exclude ourselves. Sometimes we reject ourselves, so others somehow reject us because it's our projection that we haven't been able to heal. See? So we need to understand that what happens out there to us, all of those projections are just showing us what we must heal. So every member of the system belongs. When a member of a family system has not been recognized or included, This creates disorder in the system affecting other members. The excluded one wants to belong. I want to read this again. The excluded one wants to belong and will create havoc until it is included. That means that when someone in the system hasn't been seen or recognized, because this, let's just give an example so you can understand better. Let's say that grandma excluded grandpa because maybe grandpa left.
Mhm.
And so it is an abandonment that she cannot forgive. So no one talks about grandpa because grandpa wasn't present. So her children or their children, let's say, learn from mom, from grandma, that we don't talk about grandpa. We don't know who it is, or we just don't care because he wasn't present and he really helped. So we didn't have a father. That's what they said. We didn't have a father. And that is not true. They do have a father. We all have a mother and a father, no matter if they weren't present or if they weren't there for us. Hmm? So what happens is that this disorder, probably one of the children decides to take the place or the position of the father to become the father figure. So the other siblings somehow relate differently with this sibling who takes that place and says, okay, I'm going to help my mother and I'm going to be your father. So I'm going to direct this system. So this, let's say, sibling took the empty space of the father. And that is going to affect him because maybe eventually he wants to get a, a relationship, a new family, and there is no room for a new person in that system because he's already being a father, even though he hasn't married or haven't or had kids on his own. See? And maybe the siblings are seeing this brother as the father and not as a sibling. So that's also creating a conflict. Maybe the mother is seeing her son as that figure that is not, but is I'm counting on him to be that figure. So that is also affecting that person and affecting the mother being maybe a codependency or a dependence. It's just like it creates a lot of conflicts. See? So if someone takes that empty space, because the system needs someone to fill this space for the system to somehow survive, but we are not to survive, we are to thrive. So we need to recreate the order.
Yes.
And give the position to the right person and say, Grandpa, you weren't present, but if you weren't there, we maybe as we the children wouldn't be able to be here today, so we wouldn't be able to have more children, but because of you we are alive.
Mhm.
And we have this experience and we honored you no matter if you weren't present. See how it works?
Yeah, here, like I
It's so
say,
simple
yeah,
to just acknowledge and honor with sincerity.
yeah, because he served the system of life.
Yes,
Thanks to him,
yes,
the child is here and can
yes.
keep reproducing. Yes.
Exactly. So we want you to see why it's important that to see that the excluded one wants to belong. So if this person wasn't present, what happens down the road? Maybe one daughter marries a man who also will abandon her.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's to replicate.
They
Because to replicate that there is excluded one that hasn't been able to be seen. So the story
continue.
replicates.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't want more of that, do we?
Yes, we do not.
No, exactly. So perhaps some of the other members live experiences or situations that show that the family, that there is an exclusion, a missing part. See, when I made
That example, yes.
yeah, and when I did the flyer to
Mhm.
to let you know that we were talking about the order of belonging, I put a puzzle, and
Yeah.
all the puzzle is together, and there is one piece that is missing. So that piece belongs to the puzzle. Otherwise, the puzzle is not going to be complete.
Exactly. It's
Just
incomplete. So we
it's
need to take that piece
uh-huh.
and include it in the
Assemble it.
puzzle.
Assemble. It's assembling the whole system
Oh,
and
yeah.
honoring as it is so the whole piece can feel complete and then the descendants don't need to be going through the same that the ancestors went through.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. These scenarios can be shown in different ways. For example, it could be that any of the descendants end up doing things just like the person who has been excluded. Let's say that a grandpa was excluded because he was an alcoholic or was abusive. Then maybe one of the descendants in a future generation can identify with grandpa and do the same or similar. Hmm? So dependency, for example, or in this case, like let's say, yes, someone becomes dependent on something and maybe can become dependent of food
Right.
or alcohol or
Yeah.
or sex or whatever. It's
They
like
have different addictions. Yeah.
different addictions, but it's a sort of a dependency that is repeating in a different way, but is showing.
It's showing.
So something hasn't been healed. Maria says, do we do the same with the great grandmother that passed away very young, so her children didn't have a mother and a father because the great grandfather started drinking? Yes, and it's this case has a lot of little pieces that
Yeah, it
need
has a lot
to
of parts.
they
Yes.
need.
Excellent question,
It is
though.
an excellent question,
Yes.
Maria.
It's very deep.
We are very thankful that you are showing us that case.
That's a good question to bring to the meetings that we do.
Yes, by the way, yes, we
Yes.
do these meetings once a month. And we actually, if you go to YouTube, to our YouTube channel, you can register. They are free. We do it once a month. And the one
We
doing,
just had the last one on
yes,
Wednesday.
we
which
did.
It
So
was very good.
the next one will be,
It's May
I'm gonna,
22nd.
yeah,
June.
22nd,
Of June.
yes,
Of
of
June.
June, yes. So put it on your agenda if you want to come and bring these sort of questions so we can actually
Dissect
see the
it.
case and take all the parts because that's telling us a lot. See,
Yes,
great grandpa needs to be included, and great grandma, and these children are feeling somehow abandoned, maybe
Rejected.
disconnection, rejection. There is a lot that could be in that case. So, yes, definitely, if you feel like you have a case or you have insights or you want to come and share and open your heart and express where you are related to inclusion, what you have been able to see from these programs, you can come and say hi and show yourself and be part of the tribe. We want to support you. We want you to be supported in this journey, and we want to be there for you.
And we look forward to seeing you, Maria. She's saying thank you. She will.
Yes,
Perfect.
definitely. Thank you, Maria. She actually came last Wednesday.
Oh,
Yes,
right.
she did. Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you for being part of this tribe and for doing the job, the work, for doing the work.
Being,
This is, yes.
doing the work, doing the work.
Yes, yes, yes. So when the conflict reappears, is because the system of life wants to flow in order, but without the inclusion of all parts, that cannot happen. So as I said before, all parts need to be included and in order for the system to flow organically and for the system to bring new experiences in harmony. Otherwise, they will be bringing more conflict.
And it will keep bringing conflict until it is seen so that healing can begin.
Yes.
That's the cause of repetitive patterns.
Yes. So it says here a car is a system of different parts. If one piece is broken or missing, the car cannot function properly. The same happens in the family system. All members must feel acknowledged to flow in order. That order generates order on a larger scale in the collective. That is why I said that the healing of one is the healing of all. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. So
Yeah, it was like, yeah,
Yes,
there's like you feel the energy, but you also feel the just the awareness of everything that we're learning today as we continue with the book.
yes. So please, if maybe you feel that this topic doesn't make sense for you, we can also invite you to go step by step. Maybe see the first programs, because maybe if you are here today, you will say, but it doesn't make sense. But if you go before this, we gave a big intro on how to get here and understand better that it's a topic that is going to expand your mind and your consciousness. And of course it's going to take you out of your comfort zone, because it's new information that maybe you haven't been able to see before, and it's taking you out of that, oh, but I thought it was like this, and now it's not, and maybe I don't like that, I'm gonna leave it there. But maybe eventually you can take it again and say, no, let's work with this, because maybe it makes sense. Hmm?
And you might have to see it a couple of times.
Yes.
You know, it's just one of those topics and type of information that we haven't been conditioned. So you might have to see it a couple of times, and do see it a couple of times.
Yes, yes, definitely. We invite you to do that. So it says, in order to include others and ourselves in the system, we must find what makes us feel unworthy of belonging.
Hmm. Just a lot there.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yes, many times this is connected to feelings of guilt and shame from our own minds or from our ancestors' perspectives, who could not be free to think, express, or do things differently based on the social cultural conditioning of the time. Those unhealed memories that created limiting perspectives are still applying in our lives. Knowing this, we want to heal that, but our human way of learning and transcending things many times takes a process that can even take a whole lifetime. In that process, we must go through the same unresolved pain with our family and later with others in our social context, until we realize that something that we cannot recognize is blocking our personal development. Until then is when we start our journey to heal ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
All we can
So
say is yes. There it is.
yes, so we want to just, I'm gonna leave it here, because I guess you need to process that.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was
That was definitely a lot. But
yeah.
just something that we repeat over and over is to understand that what we experience today is a consequence of what our ancestors experienced before, and that they weren't able to solve that or reconcile that, those
Mhm.
emotions or those ways of doing things. So we are repeating and acknowledging and integrating those destinies, because those stories live
In
within
us,
each of us.
within us, yes.
Then we will be able to transcend them as much as we process that. Yes.
And the good news is that we have more tools.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
this is by here too,
This
right?
book
The
is a
book, buy the
tool.
book, buy the book. It's
Yes,
a great
this
tool.
book is a tool to transcend your ancestors. Also, if you want to really go deeper, really deep, we have a training program on family constellations, where you get to really understand in a deeper level everything, like inner child work, why we went through what we went through, healing those wounds of this child that we were, that we had these perspectives, that we had to experience that because our parents couldn't heal it. So it all comes again in the system that hasn't been healed. So our parents went through it. So we need to heal our parents, integrate them, integrate the transgenerational that affected our system, our family system, and many other things. many other things that goes even beyond the system of life. We need to understand the plan of the human, why we are here and why we
Yeah.
are going through this, and why at this time in history we are healing the transgenerational, and
Oh,
where we are going
yeah.
towards with this.
And even why we chose to come to this time in history.
Yes, exactly.
So long.
So it is a lot,
So
and
long.
if you really give yourself this opportunity, where we will take you by the hand and we will help you in that journey. We actually, every soul that feels called to it, we will be happy to help you walk this journey, because it's a healing process for the soul, and the healing of your soul will be the healing of all. So we will be
Absolutely.
very glad to serve you if you decide to take this step.
And when does it start?
That starts in July, the first weekend of July, Saturday and Sunday. There are 8 modules that happen once a month. It's just a weekend. So it's a Saturday and Sunday from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. every time, Eastern time. And you get to be constellated, and then eventually you learn how to constellate, and eventually all the people that is there will be constellating each other. So it's a beautiful process of healing and growing and expressing and transcending. Mhm.
It's doing the deep work with a lot of
Yes,
support.
yes. So Janet is one of our graduates,
Yes,
Jay.
yes.
And we want to also invite you, if you haven't constellated yet, and maybe you feel like, well, maybe I should take this step. We invite you to go visit our website, systemichealinginstitute.com, where you can see the program. And at the end, if you scroll down, you see if you want to make an appointment with our graduates, and so you can click there, and then you will see Janet, and you can make an appointment there. There is a calendar where you can make an appointment with her, and everything is just set for that. So
Mhm.
welcome to join us, and welcome if you feel like this is a step that you are ready to take. Welcome, welcome. Mhm.
Definitely welcome.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So that's what we pretty much wanted to share tonight.
Yes.
Yes. And so just to wrap it up, let's say, remember that we spoke today about the order of belonging. We all belong to the system, no matter what others did or think or actions they took, no matter what, it's just their experience. And no matter what they did, they belong.
Yes. That's the key thing.
Yes,
They
they
belong.
belong. We all belong to the system of life. Yes, and when we get to have make that inclusion with sincerity, integrate and acknowledge that somehow the dark side is in each of us, and how the other ones, those projections, show us what we must heal in order to actually help heal life, then we are
Truly, yeah.
really truly serve
Yeah.
serve
We
serve each
totally, yeah.
other, serve all, serve
Yes.
the wholeness. Yes,
Absolutely. Yes.
yes, yes, yes. So thank you for being there.
Thank you everyone for
Then
coming and joining us. And of course, if
yes,
you please hit the like and please feel free to share this.
yes,
Anyone that you
definitely.
know that will resonate with all of this, share, 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 because we really want to bring it out to everyone. As you can see, as a collective, there's a lot to be healed.
Yes, yes. And we want you to, if you really want to take this step, we will be here every Friday at 8 p.m.
Faithfully.
Yes, exactly. Now we're leaving because we have a plan.
Yeah.
We are going to see, what's the name of the movie?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, multiverse, something like that, because that's like about going into the different
reality and
realities and dimensions. So I'm very excited to go watch that movie. And so I don't know what's your plan tonight, but we have a fun plan for tonight.
Yes.
So we will let you know about the movie maybe later. Thank you, Maria. Blessings for you too. She's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Many blessings. Thank you for being here, being
Yes,
so
each and every one
present,
of
and
yes.
every one of you that is on Instagram and also on
And for
Facebook.
supporting us, we feel honored. Thank you so much.
Yes, sending love and infinite blessings to you. Please share if you like it, or just
And
give us a like, or give us a
subscribe,
heart, or
subscribe, all that good thing.
yes,
All
or
that
invite
good stuff.
others to subscribe if you feel like someone is looking to heal, or also their ancestors. We
Absolutely.
love you. Thank you for being so present, and we'll see you next week.
Friday.
Next Friday.
Same time.
Yes.
Same channels. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.